In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Pacific Railroad Act. The act stated that two railroad companies would partake in the construction. The Central Pacific Railroad would begin in California and the Union Pacific Railroad would begin in Nebraska. At some point, the two would meet in the middle and the construction would be complete. Assembly of the Transcontinental Railroad began in 1863 and finished in 1869. Building the railroad was tough, hard work, especially in the mountains. Weather conditions were especially harsh in the winter. The longest tunnel built was 1,659 feet long in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Blasting tunnels was a slow process. On average, the workers were able to blast around 1 foot per day. Sacramento, California was the starting point of the Transcontinental Railroad for the Central Pacific. The railroad company laid their tracks east, as the plan was to meet their competitors, the Union Pacific, in the middle of the route. The Central Pacific was tasked with the difficult job of laying tracks across the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Chinese immigrants made about 75% of the Central Pacific laborers. An estimated at least 1,200 workers died. The Union Pacific began construction on the Transcontinental Railroad in Omaha, Nebraska and laid tracks west. Fortunately, the Union Pacific's route was easier than their competitors, the Central Pacific, who began in California. The Union Pacific was tasked with laying tracks across the plains. 3,000 Irish immigrants became the main labor source. On average, the workers were paid $1 a day, but their housing was provided by the company. The Native Americans felt they had to protect their families and homes, and as a result, the Native Americans repeatedly attacked the Union Pacific. Native Americans felt threatened by the building of the railroad and raided several work sites. Some of the land the government granted to build the railroad was Native American land. However, the westward expansion could not be stopped. After decades of anticipation, the railroad was finally complete on May 10, 1869. After spending $136 million, the railroad stretched across 1,800 miles of the plains, desert, and mountains of the USA. In the end, the Union Pacific laid 1,087 miles of track, whereas the Central Pacific only laid 690 miles. Finally, in 1869, a telegraph announced the job done. The two sides of the railroads met in Promontory, Utah. The final spike, also known as the Golden Spike, was drove into the railroad in honor of a job well done.